as we used to do back in the day. Let's introduce the ingredients. I have here my string beans, and they've already been washed and trimmed. I trimmed off both ends, and then I cut them up into about, I'd say anywhere from 3 to 4 centimeters or so. Some of them are longer because Zaire was helping me break those up. I have here coconut milk, onion, pimento pepper, habanero pepper, some garlic, tomato. We'll also need some black pepper. We'll need some salt. We'll need some olive oil. And over here I have 2 pounds of salted pigtail, and I'll just bring it closer for you guys to see. And that has been boiled. Salted pigtail needs to be soaked in water and or boiled for a couple hours. Well, in this case here, not a couple hours, but an hour and 40 minutes. Halfway through, I drained the water and I put back fresh water in there. The reason being is this dish will cook fast, so I want tender pigtails, and the salted pigtail will add a lovely flavor to this. If you don't deal with the pork, you can use salted beef or any sort of smoked meats that you like using. It will give it a lovely flavor as well. You can leave it out too. We've done this recipe without the pork element or any sort of meat element in there as well. So it's to remove most of the salt and to tenderize it near the end. And I said salt, but it's only near the end we will taste it and adjust the salt to our liking, simply because there's still quite a bit of salt potentially in the salted pigtail, even though I cooked it for that long, and I rinsed the water and I did it 2 times with fresh water. My pot is on a medium flame, and I'm going to go in with a tablespoon and a half of olive oil. To that I'm going to add the pre-cooked salted pigtail. And the reason why I like adding that pigtail at this point here is, one, to warm it up. And I boiled this yesterday and I had it in the fridge there, and I just gave it a rinse just prior to using it here. So it has a little bit of liquid. But I want to render off some of the fat to help further flavor this dish. It is not the healthiest of dish, but it's not something we eat in every day, so you know, in moderation. Just be mindful, because it is on a medium flame and there's hot oil in there. As things start, just be mindful that the fat and the skin can cause splattering and popping, which you just got an example there. That could potentially burn you. So you just want to be mindful of that as things cook away there. In the pot, I've got my onion. I love adding a lot of garlic in here, so that's about 6 cloves of garlic. Scrape the bottom just a little bit, because the fat from the salted pigtail may want to stick. Here's where I'm going to add my fresh ground black pepper in there. And I know I mentioned the pimento or seasoning peppers there earlier. If you cannot source it, don't fret too much. And that pepper is not about heat. We've talked about this before. It's more about flavor, and that's why it's called a flavor pepper or a seasoning pepper. Now I'm going to add my habanero pepper, followed by the pimento pepper. Give that another little mix. Now the habanero pepper there, you can substitute any spicy pepper you can get access to and or you have on hand, yeah? So if you have scotch bonnet, if you have any sort of chili pepper, bird's eye, whatever it is in there, coffee pepper, anything you can source. No, that's providing you like heat. If you don't like it spicy, this is one, well, just about any dish you make, you can tailor it to your own liking. So you don't have to put that in there. And it's been about 5 minutes since we started. And what I'm going to do at this point now is add all of the trimmed string beans to the pot. There was a little bit of liquid there because I had washed it earlier. And we're going to give that a stir, like so. My heat is still on medium, if you're wondering. Coconut milk will now make an appearance in there, and that's going to be the sort of braising liquid. And remember, string beans, unlike Bodhi, and if you want to substitute Bodhi or French beans or anything, Bodhi or yard bean will take a lot longer to cook. The string beans, not so much. And I like adding tomatoes as well. Adding the tomato to the game here because I love the sort of acidic properties it brings. And you know, many of my dishes you will see me add tomato to it. There's a reason. It's for the balance. We want to balance flavors as we go along. Yeah, we want to bring this up to a boil, so we'll put the lid on it. It only took about 4 minutes to come up to that boil that you're seeing there. Give that a stir, and there's quite a bit of liquid in there. So I'm just going to put back the lid, but slightly ajar, which means there's going to be a space for it to breathe. I'm going to leave my heat on that medium setting there, because I don't want to overcook the beans, but I want to burn off all that liquid to really concentrate the flavors here. Plus, it's important that we really heat through the salted pigtail to pull out. Remember, we boiled it for quite a bit, like I said, to get it nice and tender. I just want to pull out the remaining flavor in there and to enhance the dish with the properties of that salted meat. It's been 20 minutes and I've stirred it a couple times already. And you notice most of that liquid is burning off. So what I'm going to do now is leave the lid off, but at this point you have the option of personalizing things. And when I say personalizing things, you will check to make sure it's as tender as you like it. Some people like it just as the way it is here. I'm just going to go a couple more minutes. Some people like it really cooked down, almost falling apart. That's totally up to you. Here is where I would taste it for salt. Like I said earlier there, it's important that we do taste it for salt because we were depending on this remaining salt in the salted pigtail to season it. But at the end here is when it will be a good indication as to whether or not we need to add more or not. Lid off, and we're going to burn off all of the liquid on the bottom there and, you know, hit those personalization traits that I spoke about. Sup, soldiers? Listen, if you enjoy this recipe, I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and click that bell notification thing. If you've made the recipe, take a picture and send it to me. Email address down here. I'm really trying to tell people the email address, them butts will take the address and do all kind of thing with it. And tag me on Instagram at Caribbean Pod. I really appreciate you guys and thanks for being in my kitchen with me today. Irie. Chris here, CaribbeanPod.com. Always a pleasure having you guys here in the kitchen with me. If not, well, most if not all of the liquid is gone, so I know my residual heat is going to finish things up for me. Remember, you can tailor this dish to your own liking. Like I said, you don't need to use the salted pigtail. The scotch bonnet or habanero pepper is totally optional if you cannot source the pimento pepper. No sweat, but again, I do hope you guys get the opportunity to give this one a try. Real old school country vibe here. What's up, soldiers? Don't forget to click subscribe. If you've already clicked subscribe, hit that bell notification thing. I want to all you missing out on the new videos, man. Come on, click.